Test. Hello? Hello?
There we go. Hello.
Hello?
Hey, I hear you.
Alright, I can hear you too.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can use the camera because I'm using a laptop through like a different monitor.
Okay, no worries. I don't care.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe we can both. Do you have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it seems quite focused on the compression algorithm and making sure the memory is stored efficiently and that the LLM has proper context for its outputs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my, I guess, idea or what I brought up initially was like the most bare bones version possible. And I particularly chose a version of this product we would not be happy with if we finished it like that. I purposely undershot the goal because the idea is one, we can finish that fairly easily, but it will force us to act. And two, once we get there, we'll be like, okay, this is what we want. Where do we go next? And then we can build the next step. Where I think I tend to be a little bit overambitious and get shiny object syndrome and like feature creep in, right? Feature creep in, where you just keep on adding and adding and adding stuff. And so I wanted to kind of learn from that and not let that happen by purposely making a minimal viable product and getting that ready. And it's still version 0. And then version 1, we can add the other things as well.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the compression algorithm is a great idea. I think it's very future looking, and it's using, I think, a pretty intuitive concept of like different levels of summary. Um, yeah, I don't think for my vision for the initial product, that kind of complexity would be useful. But I
Most
think it is
definitely.
what?
I said most definitely. It's something that would only be needed if this product was going to be like if we were planning on making it a lot larger. But for like a basic model, we definitely do not need anything like that.
Yeah, and I think literally like once we finish version 0, and I'm still speaking in my terms. I'm not hijacking this project. It's still going to be a collaboration, but I can only speak in my own terms because we haven't come up with a shared plan yet. But after version 0 is done, right? After version 0.03, 0.3 or whatever, the next thing we can add is the compression algorithm because it'll be fun and interesting and motivating. I just want to make sure that we have a chat with an LLM that can respond. And my initial idea is that we actually in the chat ask it to respond with some keyword like um, chat GPT or like uh hashtag send chat and then it does like and then it summarizes by some means. Um and that's not the final product or the goal, but it just even lets us start with some functionality, you know?
Yeah. So in terms of getting the LLM to know when to respond, I've been
Yeah.
thinking about that. A lot of people have attempted making a system like this already in the last couple of months, and the ones I saw, they did what you just recommended, where they would just do like an at tag to the inside of the
Hmm.
chat to signal it to it. I was kind of leaning more towards wrapping the
Automatic.
chat inside of conditions and letting it reason if it should respond. I don't know if it
Yeah.
would be able to do that. We have to test the
Oh,
waters
that's
because I
a
don't
great
know if
idea.
it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought in my head when I first thought of the idea. Is that almost it could be nefarious, and you don't tell people it's an AI. You just have like Karen Waller in the chat as well. And Karen Waller happens to be our AI, but no one knows it. And she's like helping the discussion, being normal, every once in a while dropping a hint that, her computer's, powerful enough now so she can run this LLM. And be like, oh, what kind of computer you have? And then she can pitch the Asus, whatever, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
that's already been happening with social media accounts for like 2 years.
yeah. The project we're trying to make is trying to get there. And so we have to get to where it can automatically detect when to respond. Um, but again, that feels complicated and kind of hard to me. And I don't want to front load difficult tasks. I want to front load easy tasks to get us invested in the process and have something that's been built. And then we can have a plan of when those hard things will happen and why they happen, and who's working on them and whatever.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get the most basic outline first. And once version 0.3 is done, we then say, okay, version 0.3 through 0.7, what are they going to look like? And then
yeah. I'm
you
not.
start.
I'm not even thinking about. I haven't even considered your versioning stuff because that seems like outside of the scope of what we planned on discussing so far. So I've only been considering the system concepts, and I plan on starting to discuss scheduling and all that once we have the main components figured out. Because until then, it's kind of hard to come up with a schedule if we don't even have an agreed upon plan yet.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. Like, what are we scheduling if we don't even have the same idea of what it's going to be?
Yeah, that's
Um,
why I don't know if you saw like the 5-step thing I sent to you, and I said we should fill step one. I've been kind of going off of that system this whole time. I don't even know if you saw it.
I did see that was a ChatGPT.
If you go into the
Uh,
KCC business in my Discord, I've copy and pasted all relevant information so we can just reference it for this call.
oh yeah, I haven't looked at Discord at all. I've looked at Discord 0 times.
Okay. Yeah, I just posted it like an hour ago just so that when we're in this call, we have all the information in one spot we can look at.
Okay, cool. Let me find it. I see Tabor. Oh, Tabor's music. Okay, there we go. KCC business. Step one: define the conceptual system, the core purpose, describe the mission, key components and roles, how they interact, tech stack, create vocabulary, and principles.
Yeah, so that's what these are the only things I've been focusing on this whole time. So like when I saw your
Yeah.
plan initially, it kind of seemed like it was stepping into phase two. So I don't think I communicated that to you that I was kind of just ignoring that stuff because it didn't seem relevant to what I was focusing on inside of the system.
Yeah. Let me find, because I made a whole note about it. Um, I think it's on my GitHub actually. Let me find it really fast. It's called Tabor AI. Tabor Group AI. Here we go. So my plan, the first line says mission to unleash the power of LLMs on group chats to revolutionize collaboration.
Oh
The
yeah, that
problem is that
that message is literally if you go back to the Discord, it's the message right below the plan.
okay, you put mine in there too?
I put all relevant information.
Okay. So let's see what step one is. Core purpose. I said what my core purpose is. That's the mission, right?
Yeah.
Key components and roles. I think I have that in there as well.
Yeah, the
Key
users,
components.
I saw users and I was kind of thinking that started going more into like use case. So,
Users is actually still part of core purpose. It's the mission, the value, and who the value is for.
okay, well, if that's the case, I don't think that we should define it to such a tight scope of tech teams and couples. I think we should just keep that open to anyone that needs to be mediated for now.
Sure. I think that it's more difficult to do a broader case than to do a specific case, and we can always add cases later. So if we focus now on just imagining this is who it's for, um, and still making sure it's modular, we can kind of add modules later. If you'd like to keep it agnostic and we basically don't know who's using it, I'm happy to concede on that point. I just want to make
I
sure
think
that
that
this
would be
doesn't.
better because I feel like if we add in this specificity of it, specificity, we're just gonna end up removing it down the line. So it's gonna be like building something just to take it down. And I don't think, based off the model that I'm planning, I don't think that that information would be relevant to the LLM. If anything, it would be adding more complexity to the system so that it's more specified to certain use cases. But I think in general, like building a prototype, it'd be best just to leave it open.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying. That increasing the specificity, and then kind of it might feel like hard coding that specificity in is going to be a uphill battle because we're going to have to undo that work later. And that's kind of ridiculous to do work twice.
And I don't think
Um,
it's even needed in the first place.
yeah. Do you think that by having something like who the product is intended for being open-ended means there's going to be a lot of kind of edge cases that we're dealing with? Because we don't know the problem, but we still have to deal with now every problem. That might be more difficult to code for, or do you think it'll be easier to code for everything
I
than
think
just a few
that
things?
LLM will handle the backend's logic. I think as long as we suggest to it that it's just getting a chat and it needs to come up with a suggestion that is a mediating response, I think it will be able to figure that out on its own.
Yeah. I guess for me, the extent to which specifying our user would be hard coded is just what we're testing our prompt on. So the prompt for the LLM would be, hey, this is a tech team working on a new app they're making. That's the prompt. But all the code will still be universal. We just swapped the prompt later as another test case and just have a
Yeah.
couple in mediation.
Yeah, so I
And I
was
think,
thinking we could have like just a prompt field on the front end, and we don't even have to code that into the code. We can just type in whatever we want into that, and it automatically feeds it into the server. So you could type in tech teams or couples or like any type of specific mediation you want, and
oh
then
yeah,
it appends that to the LLM request with the extra context. That way,
yeah, and
per
that wouldn't be in
chat,
the
you could
final version
change how it
of that.
responds because you could change that field per chat, and it would send a new request. So every single message, you could change how it's mediating the conversation.
Yeah, that seems very complicated to me.
I think it's
My initial idea was just that we send a rogue user into a chat and have it do what we want. And secondly, we have couples say, "I want to use your service, Saturday counseling." We say, "Great, hop into this chat," and then the AI just handles their mediation for them.
so.
Like
Do you want?
those are the
Are you
I
seeing this
had.
prototype as sending a rogue user into a chat and people don't know they're talking to an AI, or are you just trying to build a very basic chat application where there's an LLM member that can talk and have context and respond appropriately?
I feel like this discussion is difficult because we keep hopping between what is the prototype, what is the first version, what is the final goal. We're hopping all over the place, right?
I'm talking right now, everything we're talking about just the prototype. I'm not thinking about future plans.
Okay, so what is your core purpose of the prototype?
To have a chat room and there's an LLM presence there that will respond when it is supposed to mediate the conversation based on the parameters of how you want it to mediate.
Okay, uh, yeah, I think that works. It's quite a vague core purpose, and so I think it fits a lot of cases, which I think it's good. I think it's good that it's vague. Um, yeah, I think that core purpose aligns with mine, which was something like, uh,
Wait, you can see I actually typed all this out. It's right below your message, my core purpose, so we can probably just read it.
yeah, I gotta go past mine. Um, this doesn't say the purpose of it. This is a description of what it does. There we go.
Um,
The goal is to balance open human conversation with thoughtful AI contribution using minimal tokens to deliver maximum context. Why is the core purpose using minimal tokens?
that's
Why is that
that's
the core?
that's taking in the compressor because if you are actually going to build a mechanism that can fully respond to chats long term, it will need to be able to compress the chats into smaller amounts of
I thought
tokens. But that
you
that
said this is only about the prototype,
yeah,
not long
this
term,
I typed
right?
this before you decided that you didn't want the compressor. I sent this to you like 2 weeks ago.
Dude, I'm not saying I don't want the compressor. The compressor is a
I know
great idea.
I get that I worded it wrong. Before you said that you didn't want to include the compressor inside of the prototype.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. um, I consider a product shipped when in software development speak, we're at version 1. That's what I call ship. Everything before that is you and me just researching and practicing stuff for fun. The prototype, as I'm saying it, is just the first sprint, the first little section that I specified in version 0 through 0.3. All that is the first little sprint. We make a chat room, we add the database, we have the LLM with keyword support, and it's hosted out in the world. So it's not on your computer or mine, it's on AWS. When those things are done, I consider the prototype like done. Now we can start adding in things like the compressor, the etc., whatever. And then that's still not a finished product yet because it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be just us messing around, right? Just learning. So I think that's why it's confusing on what we mean by what. That's why for me, using a versioning system is helpful for knowing at what point we're talking about. And I don't mean to schedule stuff. I'm not trying to get ahead of this, but I think we have similar goals here.
I can see how you're confused. I'm not confused, but I don't know what to tell you.
For you, when does the prototype phase end?
Once we have everything you just said done to point three, version point three, this whole thing is I'm just viewing as one version of the prototype. I haven't broken it down into like point one, point two, point three. Like
Okay.
this
So
whole
you're
thing is just a one massive project and then one version, and I'm just viewing it as one big prototype. It's like a miniature version of a future project that we're actually going to build. It's a lot more scaled out.
okay. So the two answers I heard were the prototype ends when version, as I say it, 0.3.0 is done. And then I also heard the answer of the prototype is everything we're talking about. Those two
Yeah,
feel like two different answers.
that's from my point of view. Like everything that we've been talking about, this whole thing, I thought we were talking about the prototype only, but you thought that we were talking about two different things. So
Because sometimes you mention long term, sometimes we say core mission, sometimes we say. So that's why I just want
the core
yeah.
purpose of this in step one right here is it was for the prototype version, but it includes compressor logic because you said you didn't want the compressor inside of the prototype. So I just haven't edited any of this to remove the compressor stuff.
Okay. And just to be clear, I'm happy with you putting the compressor before 0.3. I'm happy with that.
I
I'm
get
not
that.
saying
I get it. I
I'm
get
not
it.
saying what I'm gonna do. I'm just saying these are my interests.
Yeah, I
I
get
want
that.
to get something
I've
made.
agreed that I don't think we should have the compressor now. It's unnecessary complication.
Okay, gotcha. Um, okay, I think we have similar core missions, which is good. Core purposes. The value of the system as you describe it. Let me scroll down. The value as you describe it is to balance human communication with thoughtful AI contribution. Is that my core purpose to balance the two? I don't think I know what them being balanced means. So I think I have to ask them more about what do you mean to balance the two? How will we know when it's
I don't
balanced?
know. I didn't put much thought into that, and that was AI generated. I was more focused on the. I understand like I haven't really considered like the purpose as like how you're thinking it. I was more just thinking of the system's purpose.
Yeah, we're focusing on step one, right?
Yeah, the purpose is basically to bridge the gap between conversation with AI in groups.
Bridge the gap in groups. Yeah, bridge the conversation. Yeah, bring and maybe bring LLMs into group conversations or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, awesome. So I think we have step one done. Step two, key components and roles. List the major components and describe what each one does. Uh, the key components. I think the prompt you got and the prompt I got, I asked the question of how do I plan a software development project? That's what I asked. And so my answers were following that.
Mm.
Mission, problem, solution, user success. You were using a different prompt, which is going over they touch on the same topics, but just in different orders, maybe.
Yeah, I made the system development workflow. It's a 5 step loop, or I guess six,
Yeah.
but the six. And basically, I was thinking that anytime we decide to make a change to the system, we can just go back from where we are back to step one and then rework it out because it kind of works like where you can go as far as you need into the process, and if you decide you need to make a change to like a major component, you just go back to step one, redefine everything, then replan everything, then restart building, then reintegrate, and then you can basically just keep running this system cycle over and over again. that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Um, gotcha. Uh, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to see if we use the 6 steps that you have. I wonder if anything that I have in mind will be missed. That's important, but I'm okay with that. We can always come back to it later, I guess.
Yeah, I
Number
don't
two.
even know your system, what system you're using. I just saw the like the output of it, but I didn't see the actual framework of this how the system works.
Yeah, it basically is what's the mission? What's the problem? How are you going to solve it? Who is it for? Like just basically the headings, wherever it has a colon, just take that word there and just turn it into a question. So success. What does success look like? And I wrote down below it what success looks like. What is your minimum viable product? Here it is. Here are the parts that are needed. A non-group chat. These are the things we want to happen. A non-group chat, LLM user, Steelman, common ground, fact check, summary. What are the components? A front end, a back end, a database. That's what I have. But basic front end, a back end, database. Um, and maybe that's too like out of scope. But then I said the diagram is database talks to the back end talks to the front end, the back end talks to the LLM. So the back end sits in the middle of every piece. All the pieces only talk to the back end. I had the
Okay, I
tech
see.
stack. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you
So
at the very bottom of KCC Business, after I read your system and then I read mine and I thought about everything you said about just minimizing the prototype, I've came up with that system that basically gets rid of all unnecessary components.
okay, just now at the bottom you put something new in.
Yeah, it's like the very it's a picture all the way down at the very bottom.
Okay, let's see. Any chat is a post new chat. Okay, can connect to multiple chats. Save third-party chats in personal database. Components to build. Temporary chat room. Database express. Yeah. Um. Sorry, I know my face is really close. Yeah, that's
And
good.
I
This
swear
looks.
to God, if we actually like started building this, at least me personally, I think I could probably build this whole thing out in like 3 hours, like a test prototype.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be straightforward and simple, and then you add complexity as it's needed or as you want it. That's kind of a philosophy I'm trying to embody because I know that I often like to start with the hardest problem first, but then I go down a rabbit hole. I built a I built a the particle simulator, but I started optimizing for this quad tree thing and spent like a week and a half on this quad tree thing. And then after I finished it, was so proud of it and implemented it, I saw another paper that says that there's something that's like better than quad trees. I was like, man, I just spent a week and a half with this quad tree thing, and they're literally not even using it. And it'd be fine if I just said I'm going to learn quad trees, but I said I was doing it for this other purpose, right? I got sidetracked.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly why I like to map everything out before I make instruction sets, because it just helps you see the whole picture better, so you don't go off on weird tangents.
yeah. Okay, so we're happy with the idea of basic front end. I said in the front end, I don't know. I don't. I assumed you wanted to make the front end. I don't care who makes what.
Actually, I wanted you to make it because I feel like the last few projects we've done, I've done all the front end and you've done all the back end, so I thought it'd be interesting
Yeah,
if for this prototype we flipped it.
absolutely, super down. Um, yeah,
Do you know
I
how to use React and stuff?
I've used it a couple times. I have to say I haven't used it in a while, so I'll have to relearn it. But I'm okay to relearn. I don't care.
Okay, I'm gonna send you for tree efficiency, the notes section, I made a whole entire like chat application basically inside of it, so I'm just gonna send you that so you can reference it if you want.
Okay, sounds good. Um, yeah, okay. So I think we're on the same page of using MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's one
Learn
thing I wanted
chat.
to ask you about. So you see that picture I was just telling you to look at, the circle in the middle that says DB above it.
Yeah,
So you see to the left, there's like a miniature schema for a chat room. I was
yeah.
wondering, do you think we should do like a Postgres system where we have the IDs inside of each object, or do you think that we should store the chats inside of a chat room object?
I literally don't know. I literally don't know the answer because I'm so far away from it.
Do you get what I'm saying, at least, or asking?
I feel like you're asking us like a detail about what data structure should be used to store the chats. or
Yeah.
what features should be a part of the data structure, and I literally don't know because we don't even have a chat room to speak of.
Well, I already know like what the whole entire database is going to look like because I built one for tree efficiency, so I can just guess, and then what I wrote there is I think is pretty much all we're going to need. I think we might there's like
Yeah.
a optional one more field that we might need, but what I'm asking is we can either store chat room we can either store every single message completely individually, so our database is just a bunch of individual messages, and they all have a chat room ID inside of the message to tell you what chat room they go to, or we could have chat room objects, and then we could store the messages inside of the chat room objects. If that makes sense, what I'm
Yeah.
saying now.
Well, I don't know what are the pros, cons, and differences,
I think it's the
and
same exact
does
thing.
it matter for the basic prototype?
No, it's more just a matter of do you want to use object styling for the database or do you want to use more of like a Postgres ID system? But I think I'll just since I'm building the backend, I'm just gonna go with the Mongo objects because
Okay.
that's what Mongo prefers, I think.
Yeah. No, MongoDB is and NoSQL, right? It's not. It's all objects. It's not. Yeah. I was considering, do we use SQL or NoSQL? And at first I was tempted to use SQL because data analytics. I got super excited, but I thought we can just use a MERN stack because I'm pretty sure we're both competent in that. So it's better to choose something that we can both work on. And
I know
also
SQL as
it's
well if
gonna
you know it. Do you know SQL?
it's gonna I do, but it's gonna simplify the prototype if we're just keeping it all in JavaScript language objects anyway, and then we can always switch it later. Like
Yeah, that's true.
it's it's just not important right now to decide between the two. Um, it doesn't determine the future of the project. Um,
Yeah, I like just for like a very this is stupid, but I like Mongo simply because I find that the online like database is a lot easier to use than like I was using Postgre before and it was so annoying to set up. But Mongoose you can just set up an online database in like 1 second.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Or no, I always say
Yeah.
Mongoose, but I mean Mongo because Mongoose is the plugin for the node.
Yeah. And so like that's yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I wonder what you thought about AWS hosting, if you wanted to include that or not.
Yeah, so for the prototype, I think that it seems like we're both just gonna be working locally until we want to test it across our machines. And at that point, I can just host the server on my computer and port forward it. But if you want to get an AWS, because I've never even tried it, so it would be a good experience to gain just like learning it all.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
it would
maybe.
add something new that I'd have to learn. So you'd have to be the one to do that.
Yeah. That's why I added it last on the list. That we basically each have a functioning chat application on each of our computers that has LLM integration. And then the last step could be putting it up online so everyone can use it. And that'd be the final part of V030.
The
That'd be like
prototype is going to go live to the world.
yeah, it's a research, like we're still researching it.
Oh
We're
shit,
not we're not marketing it, we're not doing anything. It's just so we can use it on the internet.
that'd be
Um,
crazy if we posted it and we just had like 1,000 people talking to one bot at the same time. That would really
yeah,
test the
that would be
limits of the
crazy.
context.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Um, yeah, but if you're not if that doesn't excite you or jazz you, we can leave that for later. I'm totally happy. I left it as late as I thought was needed, but we can definitely push it until after things like the compressor, after we have authentication maybe for users, all these kinds of things. I'm not married to putting AWS in. I thought it'd be kind of fun and interesting, like you said, a challenge to do this thing. And also, it feels to me more legit to have like Amazon holding this app we made, for us.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm not married to it, so that's good.
yeah, that
Uh,
I would be down for that simply just because I've been wanting to learn AWS for a long time, and this is like the perfect chance to do it where there's not a lot of pressure. So
yeah,
I think that we should aim
and
for
it's a
that.
full app, and it's a full app with like Amazon holds the database for you. Amazon handles the IP traffic for you. You can whitelist users, blacklist users, like it's all there. It's like having a computer, but just Amazon holding it. It's like so nice.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. I'm basically just surrounded by like 1,000 of those computers.
exactly. It's pretty awesome. And it will give us. I think it gives yeah, like a valuable experience. So we
This
have.
is kind of jumping real quick. I just want to bring this up before I forget it. Do you understand what I'm saying about the having a chat room ID and storing all of the third-party chats inside of the Express server as like its own database? So that way we could just have like a plugin that wraps around Discord and sends all the messages to our server and then sends them back to Discord. So we can basically just connect this to any chat application as long as it connects to their API.
You're gonna have to say that again in a different way. Are you talking about? Because my idea was that we were making our own chat, and now it sounds like you want to add a feature that allows us to integrate with other chats.
It's
Is that
already
right?
it's embedded in the way I've set it up so far. But you see how right now it says any chat, and all it does is there's a get chat function and a post chat from the chat room.
Any chat, get chat, post chat.
So
Okay.
basically, like the Express server either sends the chat to like our own personal chat that we built. So like say if
Yeah.
you build one, our Express server will send the chat log from the database to it. And then
Yeah.
anytime a chat is made from your third party chat, it will send a post request to the server to basically save the new chat. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is if our chat was like not custom built so that we could pull get chat from our server into it, like let's say it's just Discord, then we could
Yeah.
have
It's not gonna be custom though. Yeah, we're not gonna couple it. We're not gonna couple the things together. Right? Like Express will have like basically. This is fix it. If we had a chat handler object, then the server says, "Chat handler, here's a message. Put it on there," and then chat handler decides which chat it goes to, Discord or ours, and then the chat handler grabs messages either from Discord or ours. Is that what you're saying? Would that solve it?
I don't think there's anything to solve here. I think I'm just trying to describe to you what I laid out because it already works. It's just a little bit like basically the third party chats will always send the post request to the server, right? Like anytime there's a new chat from what you're going to build or from Discord, it would send a new chat to save that chat to our Express database. But
How would our
also,
server know to get? Why would how? I'm a little bit lost in the sauce here. So I thought we had the same core purpose of having we make a chat room and the LLM works in that chat room. I thought that was the same core purpose between us. That's what we're doing, and I'm happy with and wanted. We talked about before about adding in other chat support, but I thought for the uh, I'm
yeah, I'm
I
not,
you
just
talk,
real quick, let me
you're talking a lot
clarify.
of
I'm not trying to add any new purpose to this prototype. I'm not planning on adding wrappers for Discord. I'm just describing to you why I set the system up this way right now, so you can get like an understanding for the future.
and okay when you I don't fully understand what you mean by how you set up the I don't fully understand what that means because I haven't been in your head for the last like however many hours you've been thinking about this. I just see circles on a page and lines. Um, so
Okay,
like
well, I'll say it one more time real simply, and then I'll just drop it for now. But basically, I'm trying to set it up so that any chat circle can be literally any chat, and it can communicate with our server, so that we can connect this Express server to any chat room. That's basically what I was trying to do, but it's not important right now. I just thought I'd mention it in case you
yeah,
understand quickly.
you're making our server chat room agnostic.
Yeah, and then that's why that
That's
chat
why I
that's why
said
there's chat room ID, so it can track which chat room it came from inside of the database, so we can have like multiple different chat rooms going on inside of our database.
yeah, and that's when I said the idea of we could have the idea of a chat room handler, and then our service talks to a chat room handler. It's called an interface, right, between whatever chat room we have out here and our server. Our
Yeah,
server
that
is not coupled to the room. It's an
yeah
in-between
yeah
interface.
yeah. We would definitely, if we were to set that up, we would need another component, which would be a chat handler to interface. But let's not worry
Yeah,
about that for now.
yeah, but I think I guess the reason I was confused even for a second was I was saying right now if we just built it with only our chat room in mind, we still build it modular. So our Express server doesn't know it's talking to our. We don't bake in like Express send message to our chat room. We just say send message, and then in the send message function, it talks to a handler that then deals with chat room.
Mm.
Like the,
Can you write that
right
down for
now we
me?
do that. We just
Can you write that down? A
yeah
future plans endeavor, and just write Discord implementation with like chat room wrapper or something. 'Cause I don't want to plan it now, but that's a good idea. I don't want to forget.
yeah just and this is my pattern. Whenever I have something that I think could be swapped out later, I always just put one object between it. that always takes in the same messages and then outputs depending on who it's talking to. So
Yeah, I like that. I never really thought about like I knew it could be done, but I never planned like that. So I appreciate having you here to modularize everything.
yeah, server will speak to a chat room handler. Uh, Chat room handler has a fixed server-side interface. This makes the server chat room agnostic, enabling future third-party chat room integration seamlessly.
Oh, sweet, thank you.
Yeah, our chat room is one possible chat that will plug in to our server via this handler. Basically, our chat room isn't special. It's just the one we're making for testing right now.
Yeah, it's a temporary
And then,
host.
yeah, and then if we want to make the chat room better later, we can just plug in the better one instead of the one we had to begin with, you know?
Yeah, it's dope. Basically, we can just yeah, this is awesome.
And then same, and we'll do this. And like honestly, the way I would do this is do the same thing for the database because we're thinking, oh, maybe SQL is going to be better when we have millions of messages. So just have the server send it to the database handler, and then we can work on the migration to SQL in the background while it's still working, and then swap it over with one line of code.
Yeah,
Basically, don't send to to SQL.
it'll be a pain in the
And same for
ass
the
trying to transfer all those Mongo chats to a SQL database. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure there's tools for it.
oh, there absolutely is tools. Yeah, they had a lot of small tech startups have to switch over at some point. I think Discord had to at some point, and uh, yeah, like it's a huge deal. The thing is though, having an interface that sits a handler between, it's no downtime for the users because you can still work on your full program and then just one line of code changes, and then you're accessing a whole new database. You know?
Yeah, this is kind of crazy
Uh,
because what
yeah,
we're really doing if this ends up working is we're just collecting a fuck ton of chats from all different chat rooms and just gathering like human conversation context. Like it's so much data.
yeah, absolutely.
You could probably sell this data.
You could. It's the truth. There's a picture I made that I think kind of describes what I'm thinking. I just put it at the bottom of KC Business.
Okay.
The
Servers.
Express server in the middle.
Oh yeah. Interface for server. Interface.
So it's kind of messy because I used my finger to draw, which was kind of dumb. But the server sits in the middle, and it only talks to every component through an interface. That way, if we want to make compressor v1 to v2, we can swap it out easy. The database can be swapped out. The LLM can be swapped out. And the server doesn't have to change at all. The
So
server
can
doesn't have to
you?
change even one little bit.
What is? Would the interface just be like a TypeScript? Like you just predefine it in TypeScript. The only things that can go inside of it, and then you just plug that in. Because I don't use interfaces. I just define the objects without interfacing them. Because I've never worked in teams.
Yeah, I mean, TypeScript interface is basically what I'm describing. But honestly, I'm using it even more just in the broad coding thing, which is a defined language it speaks. So the
Okay.
server, the only way it's going to talk to chat from now until infinity and beyond is it's going to send the chat room either a up here's a response, here's a comment, give me all your messages. It's only
Okay.
going to say those three things ever. So no matter what chat room we plug into, we're only going to do those three things.
All right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that
for
makes
Discord, if it's
that
a
makes sense.
yeah, right. And same for the rest. This makes the server implementation so drop dead easy because there's going to be like three functions for all the LLMs we want to do. There's going to be basically two functions for the database. There's going to be one or two for the compressor. So we're making like a
Okay.
total of like 10 functions, and then we can make the LLM API separate. We can make the database separate. We can make the compressor separate, the chat room separate, and they're all their own pieces that don't need to be coupled at all to the server.
Okay, well, let's now that we have this idea laid out, let's go and I only have a few more minutes, so let's go up to step two and plan this out a little bit,
Okay.
so we can start to build.
Yeah.
So
So
I
yeah,
don't really think that we're gonna need to break down components in a test right now because I think that will just come with us planning after this call is over. But I think we should break down who builds what components and define the
sure.
interfaces between at least the chat room and the Express server for now.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Um, so list features and responsibilities for each component. The components, as we said, are the front end, back end database. Um, the back end kind of has a little bit more stuff with like an LLM and a compressor, but those are plugins. They're not like things that have to be there. So for the front end, what features did you want in the front end? For me, it was literally just like when a user signs in, they're just given an auto-generated name, and they can put chats into a field, and then it shows up in the chat log. And that's what I had for the front end. Like it was gonna be like nothing basic. Like I want it to be like a 1 day project or less, like a couple hour project. Um,
Okay, wait. So
because
say
the
that
first,
again. I'm gonna type it real quick. So you just type in your name.
I have it written down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's already written. It's features group chat online, group chat UI, local anonymous chat with chats stored in memory. So the chats aren't even stored in the database. My first idea was just to make a chat room where they're just stored in memory, just like a regular, like just like you make your own chat room that only exists on your computer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think. I think you should just build it out to send to the Express server
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it'll just connect to the system a lot better. I don't. I've done. I've built something where I like used all internal objects and then I had to change it to send to a database, and I think it's best just to set it to send to a database straight away if that's the
Okay.
ultimate plan.
Yeah. Definitely. Um. So basically, we need to define how is the chat room going to talk to the server? How is the server going to talk to the chat room? Right.
Yeah, so I'll
The
give you
client.
like this is what I think the GET request for you will look like receiving the chats. So you'll receive an array. You said the
Am I
array.
wrong that the client only has two things it says to the server? Send the like send chat, and the other one is read all chats.
That is a really messy freaking. Holy shit. That's like my own syntax.
Get chat room ID.
It's kind of saying it's a GET request where you send in
Okay.
a chat room ID
Okay.
and you receive back an array of chats.
The server is doing a get request with a chat room ID.
Yeah, to the no, your plugin is doing a GET request to the server.
The client is saying get, and then you put in a chat room ID, and then it gives you back all the chats from that chat room ID.
Yeah, that's saved instead of the Express server. So like I don't think your application will save any information. It will only send the information to the Express server and receive information.
Got you. So the client has two things it says: send a chat, here it is, and get chats.
Yep.
Right? Okay, cool.
Literally just a post and a get, like the simplest.
Yeah, simplest thing ever. Deal.
And the post, this is what I was trying to figure out because this is gonna come in complexity if we add more chat rooms that are like third party, but there needs to be a way for the chat room or Express server needs to be able to identify which chat which chat room chat came from to assign appropriate chat room.
Okay.
So that's a part I was trying to figure out, like how will it communicate which chat is being
Uh,
sent and which chat is receiving.
So when this client sends the chat to the server, it'll also just say, this is the chat room I'm a part of. This is the user that sent it. Here's the content,
Okay.
right? And here's the date. And here's the date.
So the post request will have that chat room ID in the new chat, or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be CID, we'll say body, I guess. C user and C dates, right?
Yeah, I didn't add the date, but that's a good one to think of. That's good. Although the date, yeah, the date is important. Definitely. That needs to come from the
Does, does
chat.
does the server need any other information? I guess the server could look that up, right?
It can't really because like a chat could send a message from 2011 and then the server would assign it to like a date from now, but it would be misrepresented. So I think the date has to come from the chat application.
How could the chat send a message from the past? How could the client send a message from the past?
Like if you're like let's just
I
say in the
think
future if we connected this to like a third party Discord or like a chat room that already had messages in it and it had to send those old messages over. But yeah, that's I guess as of now, any new message being sent will be in the present moment, so the server could assign it a time.
yeah, and we're not. I guess it might be a different product or a whole new plugin. I guess system. Um,
I don't even think we need day. I think it's unnecessary for the prototype.
I think you're right.
And even
And
ID is unnecessary, honestly, but I just did that for like some sort of ordering.
yeah, some sort of future thing. That's fine.
Because the array
Right now
might,
it's going to be just one.
if you receive an
Yeah,
array
it's
and it
just gonna
doesn't have ID, it might not be ordered properly, so the ID will allow you to order it.
okay. Yeah, and so that basically, what I'm going to tell you what the server needs to have available, so I can do it, and you can tell me what the client has to give you, right?
Yeah,
So the client needs from the server, uh, for when it does it's I'm going to run the send chat function. It's going to do a post request. So you need to be able to accept this post request. Um, and it's going to contain the chat room ID, which right now is just going to be like the number one because we have one chat room. It's going to be the body of text for the actual chat that was sent and the user who sent it.
okay, so does this look good, what I'm sitting in right now?
Client needs from server get chat room ID. Well, you just sent the same message again.
Yeah, because
Um,
it seems like you might have just said the same thing.
well, the client doesn't need to get chat room ID from the server.
That's to tell
Like,
this. It needs to when it sends a GET request to the server to receive its chat history. It needs to tell the server which chat room it is.
yeah, and that's not what I was talking about just now. I was saying the post request.
Okay.
I was saying the server needs to be able to accept a post request of a chat. That's what I just said.
Server needs from client.
Yeah, there is a get request feature too, which I need to be able to get all the chats from a given chat room ID, or with a given chat room ID.
So would you say what I wrote there is good for both of us?
Yeah, the client needs from the server the get, and the server needs from the client to accept a post. The server doesn't. The server needs to accept from the client a post. I feel like we're talking backwards right now.
I am not.
um,
This language is very confusing to my mental models, so I am not being able to track along very well. But
okay,
I understand
client.
I understand what's needed at this point pretty clearly.
Okay, yeah. Um, I think it's good. It's just a simple get post. um, yeah.
If you want to, after this call
Fine.
is over, I'm gonna try to get this done in the next couple of days. After this call is over, if you have any more relevant information about the API between our two parts, just let me know in text because I'll be able to reference that a lot more clearly.
Okay, sick. Yeah, if you Can you set the GitHub and then I'll just fork it and start working?
Yeah, sure. What should we call this?
That's a good question. I don't know, dude.
I'll just call it like LLM
Uh,
Group Chat for now.
all right, sounds good.
Prototype. Wait, do we make a new repository for the main product, or do we just set a branch for prototyping, you think?
Yeah, we definitely don't do a whole new repo. Yeah,
Well,
it's clearly a
should we
branch.
separate this like prototype version from the actual product that we build down the line with two different repos?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it matters really. But yeah, we
Okay.
can just keep it one.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll just make a prototype branch then inside, and then we can have a main and dev branches in there or whatever.
All right. Yeah, I had a little bit of information as well in mine about readability for the future, about like maybe what commit messages could look like. Um,
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's I don't even know. I was looking at that. I was just thinking about using GitHub Desktop. It's like shit, man. I don't even know if I had the options to do that.
to do what?
To like send all those custom parameters.
So the JS like the comment section, or talking about the Git comments,
I was just talking
like
about like you were setting up a system for like Git pushes, and you were saying like you don't want anything to be pushed. You want everything all the changes to be pulled in.
No, I'm saying so. Yeah, so PR for development is how we did like some projects before. So you just work on your own branch, you upload to your own branch, and then when we decide together, I'm the fork, so I'll send a pull request to yours, and then you'll accept it on that end, and that gets put into that part. It's just it's basic pull requesting. It's not like anything complicated.
Okay, so basically we just push on our branches until we merge, and then we make a pull.
Exactly. So you just keep on working on your branch, whatever you're doing, and then when you want to add it to the dev branch or the prototype dev branch, right? Well, the main I don't know. We can set up however we want, but we have the prototype with master and prototype. We're on prototype right now. We have
Hmm.
prototype and then prototype has a one called dev. Uh, we're going to be working on the dev branch. You're going to be adding a feature branch for backend. I'll have a feature branch for front end. We'll work. You commit to your local branch. When you want
Okay,
to go up to the one above you, that's when you can PR in.
I see. Okay, so we're both okay.
Yeah,
I got that. So the feature branches are what's going to be merged into the dev branch underneath the prototype branch.
exactly.
Okay.
And it's getting unnecessarily hierarchical, but it's good practice.
No, it's
And
good.
then
It's good.
I'm gonna follow my git commit um little template there of saying what the change was, like description, what changes were made, why it's a good idea, and how it was done. Just like in like super short terms. So hopefully you can look back at my git log and it reads like a storybook of what happened and why it happened.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
That
try to do
way,
the same.
if I if I get hit by a bus, you can look back and know what's going on.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. Cool. I'm also gonna try to use comments in the. I really am split about comments. Um, I feel like the code should be so explicit you don't need comments, but I also understand that it's a good idea and it's helpful sometimes to have comments. So I'm not sure what I want to do. If I want to use JS doc or not.
What I hate is when somebody writes a comment about a declaration because it's so obvious. But if it's like a function that seems like it might be kind of logically advanced, or like there's a lot of steps that might be hard to re-reason through, that's usually when I put comments. But I really don't care
Yeah,
about comments,
and
so just do whatever you want.
I've tried to get in the habit of making my functions just do one thing and be so simple that you can chain them together and it reads like English.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
that's smart.
But, yeah, but I'll see. Okay,
I'll try
cool.
doing the same thing. I'm gonna
Uh,
work a lot on modularity during this project.
Excellent. Do you want this to be this Discord here to be where we handle and schedule, or do you want to use the GitHub features they have like um what's it called? Not actions. The storyboarding thing they
projects.
have for tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to use project?
So what do you mean by plan? Like if we would need to communicate anything, I think
We can like
texting
text
works
each other,
fine.
but I mean, it might be nice to have. You said Discord works fine.
So like you just mean like a place where we just have all of our ideas in one spot that's not texting communication, just like a board.
And I guess I'm not trying to be super dogmatic about it, but if we have like a okay, I can look at a glance and see what you did without having to go through the code. I can just see Tabor finished the NoSQL database integration. I can see that he finished that now the post and get requests are done. I can see that like that. That's what projects is for me personally. And then road mapping, we can put deadlines so we can just see when stuff should be done. Not in a dogmatic like you didn't do your part, can I? But just so we both have an idea of what's going on.
If you can you possibly set that all up for both of us based on what we discussed so far inside of like a GitHub projects or whatever it's called,
I
or
think
like
so. I think I can do that on my fork.
anywhere you want, and then just share it with me and I'll use it. But I'll leave that up to you if you want
Okay,
to.
sounds good.
I think you should be responsible for all that because
Yeah. Yeah, I can handle the documentation of the product manager.
okay. And what do you think just right now? Like, what would
Yeah.
you probably use?
I'm split between Trello and GitHub projects. Trello I like because I mean GitHub I like because you can directly reference the issues and the pull requests, so it's very clear to see when what happened. Trello I like because it's more beautiful, and also it's not GitHub, so it may be a little bit less confusing.
Hmm. Okay.
But
Well, whatever you choose, just let
I'm
me
leaning
know.
to GitHub project. I just have to. Okay, sounds good. Awesome, awesome. Did I tell you that I use GitHub now pretty much exclusively through the CLI, also the command line?
No, I
Like
thought
even
you
for like
haven't you
putting
been doing
issues
that now for like a couple
up and doing
months?
pull requests. Yeah, but like I haven't opened GitHub in like such a long time. Like the only time I open GitHub is on my phone. Like
Oh,
I've
like
never used the web app at all.
oh snap! I can't even
I do
imagine
it all
that.
through the terminal. 'Cause even my coding is in the terminal, like with NeoVim. So like all my coding's in the terminal and all my GitHub integrations through the terminal. It's amazing. I love it. It's so cool.
You hate front ends.
Well, I can just like I can make a repo. I can like make a repo. I can push the repo. I can do everything I want. There's no reason for me to like switch tabs to go to Brave to like open GitHub. Like there's no reason. I have it all right there. I don't know. I'm weird. I like it though.
I appreciate
Cool.
it. I
All right.
all
Yep.
right. I'm sending you this GitHub, and then I'm gonna go.
All right. Sounds good.
But it
Been
was
a
nice
pleasure.
talking, and thanks for listening and understanding. And I hope this
For
all
sure.
works out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't sound too dogmatic.
No, I think it was the perfect amount of listening with clarity added. So,
Excellent. Well, we're gonna work on this project. Let's get this bread gamer.
all right.
Bye.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Just like that, folks. You guys are about to witness something.